I'm Charlie from Wonderboard, and this is Steve for the Family Butchers.
So I just take a second to introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, so I'm Liam. I'm Stephen's son, also known as the apprentice and pie maker. Do all the pies, make these steak pies, just did them now, ready for the customers. So yeah.
How long have you been in the job for?
Just over a year and a half, something like that, since I left school. Kind of mine, yeah.
Take us through some of your favourite parts of the job.
Making the pies. I don't know why, I've been doing it since I was a wee boy, coming in helping Dad when he was over at Wicton, just making sausage rolls and whatnot, you know. So it's just like brought it on to being here and kept doing it.
Has it always been something that you've wanted to do?
Well, through school I wasn't the best behaved or whatnot, as you well know from being pals and that. So yeah, just never really stuck in. Got my grades, got whatever, but I just never had anywhere to go. And I had this option and took it, so yeah.
And how have you found like developing relationships with customers and that? Has it been easy or something you had to adapt to?
It was something to adapt to, because to start off I was like, you know, awkward and that, getting to talk to folk, because I was quite quiet, you know, after lockdown and that and whatnot and all the struggles happening. You know, I just found it difficult speaking to folk, you know, a bit quiet, and then some days I wasn't. So I've adapted and it's got better.
And we've just obviously had the Christmas rush and you're coming off the back of winning the award for the best steak pie. So what's the kind of footfall and customers been like?
It's been mental. Since I joined, you know, it was quiet, we were getting on. But since that award, it has been non-stop. Been really busy. We've also had a butcher that Dad used to work with, Willie Lindsay. He retired and he sent most of his customers and suppliers over here. So yeah, we've had that foothold as well, and then Christmas was mental, best we've had it in a while, thankfully. So yeah.
So you were really looking forward to that holiday then, aye?
Well, I got a week off there in start of January, so it was very nice. You know, a week not working, can't complain. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
No bother, thank you.
Cheers.
Right, what we've got here is a 4/4 of beef. This is a Simmertal cross, just come off at the Garville farm down at Lockerbie through Border Meats, who we buy our lamb and beef and our pork from. So we buy as local as we can, which is 60 miles down the road. So this is the kind of shoulder part of the animal, and what I'm going to do is we're going to get it boned out, break it down to get our primal cuts off, so we can get a stewing steak or chuck, it's also known as. We've got our briskets, the runner or an LMC it's also known as. We've got shin of beef or hock as we call it up here in Scotland, and break it down. Also get minced trimmings off it as well, and some sausage trimmings to make beef slice sausage or beef links or any other beef sausage product that we can make in the shop. So that's what we're going to do.
So how did you get into butchering in the first place?
Butchering, when I first started out, I was a 16-year-old lad, and there was a job going in the local butchers. I lived in a little village called Creetown, and I was doing the salmon nets that summer, and the guy, his name was Bill McDavid, very, very nice chap, and he basically got me the job. He turned around and asked me, or didn't really ask me, he told me there was a job going. They were looking for a young lad to start in the butchers, and I was to go down on the Monday morning to go for a wee interview. So I went down and then basically asked for an apprenticeship. They took me on, and that's how I got into butchering. Didn't want to be a butcher, it wasn't anything. It was normally, you know, it's a family thing. You know, that's something what I'm trying to do now, where my son's come into the business. But my father was a motor mechanic, panel beater. At the time when I was growing up, I wanted to be a motor mechanic just the same as him, because like when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, you know, any summer holidays, any free time whatsoever, I would go into the garage and help my dad out, you know, whether it was washing cars or even maybe fixing punctures when I was 12 years old, you know, and just getting my hands dirty and, you know, working with spanners and tools and things. It was breaking down, working with engines, you know, it was fascinating to me when I was a kid, and it was just something I always wanted to do, but it never happened, because again, as soon as I left school when I was 16, I started this game and done it ever since.
How long have you been in the game for now?
Oh, now that's going to give my age away. Too long, to be honest. So I started when I was 16, I'm now 53, so you can do the math, okay? Quite a long time, so that's 35-ish years, whatever it is. I can't do the maths. So yeah, it's been a long time since when I first started anyway.
So how did the first shop come about?
The first shop when I was over in Wicktown, I was made redundant. So I was out of work and I knew that the shop was lying empty over in Wicktown, which was previously owned by the Norris family, where I had the privilege of working with them for almost 15 years. And I knew that shop was empty, so there was an opportunity there for me. So we decided to bite the bullet and invest in some money and set the business up. So that was in 2011. So it was when we got first started. I think it was actually I'm going to say it was actually, I think it was the 1st of April. It was actually an April Fool's Day, so it was the first day of April, or it could have been the 4th. I can't remember. It was something like that anyway. If I'm remembering what date it actually was, but it was the first Monday in that month of the April when I first started over in Wicktown in 2011. So that's how it came across. We just decided to give it a go, really. You know, as I say, because I was out of work at the time, and it was too good of an opportunity to miss. You know, it's something I never even thought of doing. When I was working away, I was quite happy being employed. You know, but my hand was kind of turned a little bit being, you know, made redundant. And I said, let's just give it a go. And here we are. We're still at it.
So how long were you working for, and what caused the move to Newton?
10 years. We worked in the shop for 10 years over in Wicktown, and then the Norris family decided to sell the building, but it contained a house which was above the shop as well, and me personally, I just didn't want it at the time. So we did look to, you know, to purchase the building in Wicktown and, you know, and own it that way, but it just didn't materialise. It was too far out of reach for me at the time financially, and so the shop got bought over, and basically I was told to move on by the new owners because they wanted to do their own thing in the premises. So again, technically I was out of work for a little bit, but I had a 6 months leeway in my contract. They had to give me 6 months to vacate the premises. So I knew it got triggered straight away, so I had 6 months to kind of figure out what I was doing, so we could still run the shop over in Wicktown in that period. So that's when we kind of started looking to see whether my time was up in butchering and maybe change a career. You know, it was that time in my life as well where, do I try something new, or do we maybe find some other premises, which thankfully that we did. So we came over here into Newton Stewart, came across this property here, which was 3 offices. So basically we had to build a shop from scratch, and we managed to do that within 2 months, the turn of the year. So we started in the January, and it was all during the COVID period as well, the second kind of year of COVID. And we managed to get the shop built in a couple of months, and we again opened up for that Easter. So again, it was roughly about the same time of year. So it was in the April, and I think it was exactly 10 years since I was in business when we opened up the shop over here in Newton Stewart.
The question I often hear from people is more to do with the fact, do you feel that you do better here or Wigtown, or is it the same difference?
To me, we done good in Wigtown, you know, again, not getting with the footing to, you know, to get my business up and running. But it's a different area, if you know what I mean. The catchment area of Wigtown's quite big. You've got the whole of the Markers to play from, and also Wigtown's the national book town of Scotland, so it's a good catchment for that, so there's always loads of visitors about. Compared to here in Wigtown and Newton Stewart, it's roughly about the same. We're probably doing maybe a bit more here in Newton Stewart. There's more people in the town compared to Wigtown, but the catchment area is a bit smaller. You know, you do get a little bit from Creetown, you know, obviously Minnegarth and Newton Stewart, you know, and we do still get people in from Wigtown obviously coming in as well who've, you know, been with us since the beginning. But it's, to say it's slightly more or slightly better, it's better for me personally. It's closer to home, closer to my family. Don't have to travel back and forth to Wigtown, when we were working away. Obviously in Wigtown, you had a 7-mile journey every morning and every night on the way back home. I know it's not far, like, but you know, eats into your day eventually. Like, I'm 2 minutes away from home now, and again, if I do need to work late or something like that, I can always maybe go home for an hour or so, have a rest, and then come back in, rather than just carrying on. But yeah, personally, it's much better here, you know, for myself than. But business-wise, it's roughly about the same. It is what it is. I never kind of compare anything really. You know, I live in the moment. You know, I live to what we're trying to do just now compared to what we've done in the past. Always try to look forward, maybe try to build on the business rather than, you know, compare. Yes, you can use your figures and stuff like that to compare, to say, right, we've done this, that, and, you know, in previous years. But in this trade, it's up and down. You know, some years you get a better, kind of really good year, the next year not so good, then it's back, then it's down. So, you know, we do what we can.
Since coming to Newton, obviously you've taken Liam on. I just want to touch on your thoughts on that a wee bit.
As in bringing my boy in?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Proud as punch me, like, you know, to, as I say, like, you know, to myself, where I didn't, you know, I've built the business, a butchery, up from scratch, where most butchers have been handed down by generations, you know, they've been running, you know, for maybe even over 100 years, some butchers, which I know of, you know, with 3 or 4 generations coming through. So that's, you know, my next aim, you know, my next drive to teach Liam, you know, the ways of the trade, and he's doing very well so far. He's only been in the job for, I'm going to say, just over 18 months or something like that. But saying that, he's been in the job like myself. When he was a kid, he used to come in, you know, when he was 5, 6, 7 years old, squashing burgers or helping making the pies and stuff. So that's what he's, you know, he's continuing with. He's completed his level 2 apprenticeship already, which is, you know, a good start for him. And then obviously in the next 2-3 years we'll continue with his training, and then hopefully he'll take over and I can have a nice retirement at some point.
So in the last couple of years as well, you've seen a fair bit of success on the awards front, with award in Wigtownshire, beginning with that, and then obviously winning Best Steak Pie in Scotland. So
yeah. No, it's been pretty special. Yeah, it was great to get Business of the Year from Award Wigtownshire. And then obviously when we came up with the Steak Pie Award, that's just, you know, dreamland really, you know, for a small business like ourselves, where it's just really the two of us working away to not punch over our weight sort of thing, like, you know, but to have a go at the big boys. You know, some businesses have got 4 or 5 shops sort of thing, and we've came away with the top prize, like with the national award of the best steak pie. So it's a fantastic feat, and something I'm very, very proud of. That we, again, it's down to the produce what this wee area can produce. Sure, yes, we make the pies like, but if the beef's not in good nick, for example, if it's not good quality beef, you're not going to get a quality product. So a lot of it's to down with the, the amount of produce and the good quality of produce that we can buy in this area. Excuse me, that it helps, and it's a joy to come away with such a prestigious award where it's best steak pie in Scotland. There's not many folk can say that.
There is not, and there's an interesting backstory to how you entered the competition in the first place.
Well, there is a little bit, yeah, because like with these competitions, they're kind of based more in the central belt, so you have to get your produce up there to get evaluated and get judged. So it's something like, if I have to personally take it, then it's like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour journey. So it's a day away. So to come away from the business, and at that particular time, it was quite difficult. We were quite busy, and to actually take that time out, it was quite difficult for me to come away for the shop. So we were humming and hawing, but to enter, because there's been competitions in the past where, we'll try this one, but because we couldn't get the produce up to, the steak pie judging was up in Stirling. So, but like so with that one anyway, the Sword, William Sword is the producers of the puff pastry and pie shells, etc. So pastry products, and they sponsored the competition, and they kindly came and collected any entries from Dumfries and Galloway, so not just myself. So any other butcher who entered got their product picked up, and they delivered it up to Stirling for us. So that gave us, oh yes, we can enter this competition, let's give it a go. So that's what we did. So we put our steak pie in for it, and as I say, like we came back with the top prize, which is, as I say, like it was amazing. But yeah, if it wasn't for Swords doing that, we probably would never have entered the competition, or found it very difficult to get it up to Stirling to get judged. So yeah, so very grateful.
Since winning, have you seen an increase in footfall from customers?
Well, in steak pie sales, yeah, no doubt. Obviously, like we won the award. I think it was kind of near the end of November time when it was all announced, if I remember correctly. And obviously, we've got the run up to Christmas and New Year, and a family steak pie is a traditional meal for Hogmanay, and it really took off. And even like the run up to Christmas, like the beginning of December and stuff, we had people phoning from London and Derby, all over the place, really to see if they can get their hands on one of our pies, and which is pretty amazing as well. Like, because again, the coverage what we got from social media, local newspapers, national newspapers, we managed to get our faces in the papers, which was quite good as well. So, but yeah, steak pie sales, it's, I'm going to say, quadrupled. It wasn't just a 2-3 extra, it was a massive amount. And where we were doing like probably about £100 a meat a week, where we weren't touching them levels at the beginning beforehand. And it's still going yet, even like after New Year, we're still making steak pies 3-4 times a week. So yeah, it's been pretty good, really good.
Well, you've been grateful, and we've been grateful to be able to come in and be able to get a behind the scenes look, and that's what we're going to look at right now, how the magic of the steak pies are made. Yeah,
yep. Again, we had Liam making some steak pies, and we kind of tend to leave him with it now. He's got the master of it as well. So we cut up the steak pies and cook them in a traditional way, in a slow way as well. We'll pop them straight into a pot and cook them for 2.5 to 3 hours, and We use a thickener to make the gravy, then obviously dish them up, ready for sale. Cook the pastry separate, which is quite a key thing. Some butchers do cook the pastry on top of the pies, after they've been filled up. But we don't do that. We cook our pastry separate, so it's nice and crisp. And then there's just there's still that little bit of softness in the centre as well. So yeah, there's different ways of doing it, but that's the way we do it.
And lastly, where do you see the business in 5 years?
5 years? Well, hopefully I'm semi-retired and I'm not doing as many hours as I'm doing now. That's my plan. Hopefully still growing. We do have some ideas, to push the business forward, in the next year or two. So we'll see how they go. But yeah, just keep growing. Obviously, we've been going through a really difficult time, for small businesses with the way the economy's been, and the price hikes and all the rest of it, and food and whatnot. It's been quite difficult to keep it going at times, but I do feel that consumers are now, in a way, are realising, I don't like using this word supermarket because of the quality of meat what they produce. When you go shopping in the supermarket, the first thing they show you is a price, and again, I find more people are coming away from the supermarkets and coming back to our traditional butchers because we are really fighting against them and trying to tell them that, we are producing, the farmers are producing top quality beef, and us traditional butchers are putting it out as a top quality product, where we're hanging it, and producing our own produce in store. So we know exactly where the animals come from and where all the products are getting made and where it comes from. So that's what we're trying to kind of promote a bit more, which you probably see, in social media posts and all the rest of it with QMS and people like that. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for letting us come in and
No
have a poke
problem.
around.
No problem. We'll crack on and we'll get this bit of beef boned out, and we'll catch you again.
Cheers. Hi everybody, if you liked that video, be sure to drop us a sub, follow our socials, share it around with your friends. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and there'll be more stuff coming soon. See yous.